What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Clown Questions, the show where there are no dumb questions. I'm your host, Matt K. Maurer, and the question on my mind today is, should the Raiders have drafted Shedeur? I feel like I've already asked that question on the show before, but yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, from my podcast to yours. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season coming up here, but yeah, good little show for y'all. I'll attempt to answer that first question, some others. First, your interruption with Klay Thompson. Top 10 Goosebump moments of the week, as always. And I'll do my Thanksgiving Day picks. Maybe I should have picked the Black Friday game, but I'll give you at least those three. So, yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
So, should the Raiders have drafted Shedeur Sanders? I feel like the answer to this question is pretty damn obvious right now, especially through through a game and a half. It's tough to compare them, but especially when you've seen the way Geno Smith has played this year, and Geno Smith's getting paid a lot more money than Shedeur Sanders. Even if Shedeur would have been the number one overall pick in the draft, that would have been the case. But no, Shedeur was a 6th round pick. Raiders didn't even think about taking a look at him, because if they had, they would have taken him round 3, round 2. And yeah, I think that was a colossal mistake by the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, if you really believe in Geno Smith before the season, that's fine. A little harder to believe in him now. Maybe it's not all on him. The O-line is not great. You've seen the lack of running room Ashton Genty has every week. But even if you're confident in Geno, why not go out and get Shedeur Sanders? Why not get an insurance policy? Maybe a guy you can get and learn under Geno. I think the Geno deal was like a 3-year contract with the Raiders. So yeah, you don't want to have to bench your $50 million a year quarterback, or however much Geno Smith's making. I'll Google Geno Smith contract right here as I continue to talk. It was a 2-year, $75 million extension. So I think that was extended to the one remaining year on his deal. But yeah, the Raiders got to be kicking themselves after they played the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns played them. They got absolutely dominated. Pretty much on both sides of the ball. Of course, their Browns defense has been one of the best defenses in the league all year round, but the Raiders is the complete opposite of that. One of the worst defenses. Yeah, Quinshon Judkins, he had two separate Wildcat touchdowns, direct snap to the running back, ran it in no problem. I told the King Quinshon was going to score. My 7-leg touchdown parlay did not hit, though, so what do I have to brag about? Nothing. But yeah, am I crazy here for thinking they should have drafted Shedeur Sanders? Yes, I know it's one game. Yeah, he didn't make any crazy. I mean, he made one long throw that was pretty nice. Had Myles Garrett on the sideline, all confuzzled. Yeah, first Browns quarterback to win his first career start in over 20 years. That's a long time for your quarterback to not win their first start. But the drought is over at long last. Shedeur is here. His one touchdown pass, it was a screen pass, and Dylan Sampson ran, 70 yards down the field. But you got to say, Shedeur has looked pretty good. I guess he didn't look great against the Ravens, and he looked okay to decent against a bad Raiders team. So it's really tough to judge it now. But again, I think the Raiders are internally judging themselves right now, and evidenced by scapegoat number 1, Chip Kelly. Maybe it is Chip Kelly's fault, but I don't know if the Raiders have the talent on their offense, outside of obviously Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. I guess that is quite a bit of talent. But scapegoat number 1 is Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly has been fired from the Raiders after just 11 games as their offensive coordinator. Maybe if you had Shedeur, maybe you could have fixed that. Maybe the offense would have ran a lot smoother. But yeah, I don't know. The Raiders, like I said, they could have drafted Shedeur as a insurance policy to Geno, but I guess they didn't because of the negative locker room attention it would have brought. I mean, you had this with Joe Flacco. It wasn't really much of a competition, but it would have been the stories would have been, oh, Geno Shedeur QB competition. That would have been the story all offseason. Doesn't really matter what happens in the competition. As Pete Carroll, the coach, he can make whatever decision he wants and just say he thinks this guy is better. But yeah, I guess they didn't want that extra attention surrounding Sanders. But yeah, I think it's come to bite them in the ass. And yeah, it's an easy take to make after you see the Browns beat the Raiders. But how can you see that and not think anything other than the Raiders should have drafted Shedeur? Okay, that's the end of this circular segment. In other NFL news, Trayvon Moehrig was suspended 1 game for punching Juwan Jennings in the balls. If you saw the post-game interaction between Trayvon and Juwan, you would have seen Juwan Jennings kind of coming after him, trying to get a punch in. And I wish he had landed more of a punch. Juwan kind of landed an open-handed slap to the helmet. Trayvon deserved to be sucker punched, frankly. No offense to him. But if you punch a guy in the balls and you expect them not to retaliate, I don't know what you're doing. Kind of similar to last week when Jamar Chase spit in Jalen Ramsey's face. He's like, you're not going to spit in my face. I'm going to punch you. So yeah, if you punch a guy in the balls, there will be repercussions for that. And yeah, not only Juwan Jennings coming up to, getting a little post-game skirmish with him as one of the consequences, but also the 1-game suspension is the consequence for the Panthers defender. Moehrig will reportedly appeal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And his appeal will be heard and decided upon by either Derek Brooks, Ramon Foster, or Jordy Nelson, who are the hearing officers jointly appointed and compensated by the NFL and NFLPA to decide appeals of an on-field player dispute. Excuse me. That was one detail I had left out when I was talking about Jamar's suspension last week. Jordy Nelson was the hearing officer for that appeal. What are we doing, Jordy? You're not gonna support your fellow wide receiver and not get him suspended for spitting. But yeah, of course, Jordy couldn't have appealed that suspension because then it will go back to Jalen Carter's. Well, Jalen Carter got ejected, just as the game started. That was his suspension. Why isn't Jamar getting suspended? But yeah, I do not expect Trayvon to win this appeal. When there's video evidence of you doing it, they're not really, you got suspended for punching a guy in the balls. There's nothing to appeal. If you didn't punch him in the balls, maybe you could win that appeal. But yeah, this one he will not. Last bit of NFL news I got is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has signed with the Buffalo Bills. He had a little bit of a weird kind of lost in translation moment with the Saints. He requested to be released, and they said, okay, we'll release you, but we got to move some things around, move some money around. So it wasn't until a couple days later that he actually did get released. But he was a free agent briefly. He cleared waivers, and now he is a Buffalo Bill. Great to see another weapon for Josh Allen. You can never have too many weapons, especially with Josh Allen at your quarterback. But yeah, kind of another guy stepping up for the Bills at wide receiver. Weird situation in recent weeks with Keon Coleman, one of their receivers, I guess, missed some team meetings, was late to practice. Maybe I don't know the extent of the full details, but something along those lines. And he was a healthy scratch, I believe, for the last 2 games. So yeah, maybe Brandon Cooks can offer some of that veteran leadership and kind of steer Coleman in a better direction here. But yeah, the Bills, I will be rooting for them like shit. I will be rooting very hard for the Buffalo Bills because the Patriots are 10-2. What happened? What happened? We got Tom Brady retired, and we still can't stop the Patriots. Drake May has arrived, and yeah, I'm really sad about that, which is a great segue to my next question. Are the Bears for real? No. No. Yes, maybe. I don't know. We don't know, but we will find out shortly. They do play a good team on Black Friday in the Philadelphia Eagles, so that will be a great litmus test to see if the Bears are really for real. I mean, there's been a couple surprises in the NFL. I mentioned the Patriots, the Indianapolis Colts have kind of surprised, and the Bears at 8 wins and 3 losses are currently first place in the NFC North. And I didn't like saying that. I really hated saying that. But it's all right. It's all right. The Packers still play the Bears 2 more times, and we're gonna beat them twice. I'm jinxing it now. No. I knocked on wood after I said it. The Packers will beat the Bears twice. But yeah, they might be a good team. They might be, but we really don't know because their schedule up until now hasn't been that tough. The rest of their schedule, I would say, is very tough, but it's tough to say definitively are the Bears good or not good at football because they only have 1 win over an above 500 team. At the very least, the Bears are average to above average. When they're in first place, it's really tough for me to do this bit as a second place team, the Green Bay Packers. If the playoffs ended today, oddly enough, that would be a first-round matchup, Bears versus Packers. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, and if it does, it's at Lambeau. But yeah, only 1 win over an above 500 team, and it was the Mason Rudolph-led Steelers. No disrespect to Mason Rudolph, but the Dallas Cowboys are probably the best win on the Chicago Bears schedule. So again, I'm a Packers fan. As a Packers fan, of course, I'm being a hater. I'm being biased here, but I honestly do think this is a really good question. Are the Bears for real? It's honestly one of the smartest questions I've asked on the show because we truly don't. I truly think we do not know the answer yet. But as I said, I think Black Friday will be that litmus test. Bears, Eagles at 3:00 Black Friday. And if that doesn't answer the question, after that game, the Bears played the Packers, Browns, Packers, 49ers, and Lions after that. So we should have a clear answer before the playoffs even start. 3 good teams. You play the Packers twice, and then the Browns have a good defense. So even that one could be interesting. You got Shedeur. You got Shedussi in there. So yeah, I didn't really answer that question. Are the Bears for real? I hope not. I guess that's my question that I'll stand on there. But yeah, we don't know. We won't know until the Packers kick their ass twice. Then we can answer no. But let me get to my next question, which is in the MLB. Why'd the Cardinals trade Sonny Gray? I think the Cardinals are still focused on the future. I believe they made some trades last year. But yeah, Sonny Gray, one of the better pitchers in the league, is no longer a St. Louis Cardinals. The Boston Red Sox acquired him in a trade today, sources told ESPN. The Red Sox get the veteran who waived his no-trade clause to leave the Cardinals. The Cardinals apparently sent the Red Sox $20 million to cover Sonny Gray's salary. Gray's contract will pay him $35 million this year, but there is a $30 million mutual option with a $5 million buyout. This cash covers half of Gray's guarantee. So yeah, the Cardinals really, they really don't want to win games anymore. I think they are fully on the prowl for prospects in this near future here. But yeah, the full trade details were the Red Sox received Sonny Gray and cash considerations, and the Cardinals received left-handed pitcher Brandon Clark, right-handed pitcher Richard Fitz, and what is the PTMB? I have a typo in here. Oh, it was cash considerations or cash. Oh, a player Sorry guys, PTBNL. I guess that's a common abbreviation in baseball terms. A player to be named later or cash. So yeah, basically they're taking a bona fide starting pitcher who would be an ace on many teams and trading him for some prospects. They gave $20 million to the Red Sox. So why would they want the player to be named later, or the cash considerations? Cash considerations, it's what you're tank it. You're, instead of paying him $20 million, you pay him 19. Maybe get a player instead. But yeah, I think the Cardinals are completely focused on the future, and that's why they made the trade. I think Brandon Clark was at one point a top 5 prospect. So, hopefully they can, revitalize his career a little bit. And hopefully the New York Mets can revitalize their team a little bit, because we need another contender in the NL against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I say that because the Mets and the Rangers made a trade. They finalized a trade that sent second baseman Marcus Semien to the Mets and outfielder Brandon Nimmo to the Rangers. I love this move for the New York Mets. Marcus Semien is honestly one of the best second basemen in all of baseball. Brandon Nimmo, a certified mid outfielder. So I like that trade there. They're going to, who knows? Maybe it's Cedric Mullins instead of Nimmo last year. Nimmo was why am I calling him certified mid? Nimmo was the cleanup hitter at many points during the year for the Mets. But yeah, he is now a Texas Ranger, and I don't know. I think the Mets won this trade. I think Marcus Semien, not, I don't. It's kind of spelled like Seaman, but there's an I in there, so I believe it's Semien, Marcus Semien. That would be horrible. I mean, even though his name is spelled Simeon, he probably still had a rough childhood. It was the easiest layup for any bully who wants to make fun of that guy. But I was going to say, I don't think people will be making fun of him anytime soon, but unfortunately that will come back. They will start making fun of him again because he's on the Mets now, and the Mets are the easiest team to make fun of outside of the Yankees, but the Mets are even easier to make fun of because they're slightly worse than the Yankees. Both mid baseball teams. But yeah, I like the trade for the Mets, and yeah, I don't know what the Rangers are doing, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't like Marcus's last name. But let me move on to another question. Is the banana boat retired? Oh man, I hope not. I really hope the banana boat isn't retired, but we are down to one man on the banana boat. One man remaining on the banana boat. 2 out of the four retired, and a third one just announced his retirement. Chris Paul. Chris Paul has announced his retirement from the NBA. He didn't announce it. He announced that he will retire after this season. I had to Google real quick, what team was Chris Paul on? He was on the Spurs last year. I don't follow NBA until the playoffs. Give me a break. But no, Chris Paul is back on his, the team he played for the most, the Los Angeles Clippers. So yeah, I assume he'll retire a member of that team. But yeah, the banana boat. That's after this season. That'll be 3. If you don't know the banana boat, it is a famous picture with some of the best basketball players of all time, and they're sitting on this banana boat on vacation. And that crew of friends, of course, is LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Paul. Like I said, Melo and Wade are already retired. Chris Paul retiring after this year. Who knows? I was going to say, I can't, as dumb as I sound on the show most of the time, I couldn't even bring myself to say it without laughing. Maybe Chris Paul gets one more ring. If he gets traded across town to the Lakers, then he will, but he's on the Clippers. We don't think the unction is going to win it all this year, especially with Bradley Beal's hip injury, classic Unk injury. But yeah, is the banana boat retired? It might be. This could be it. This could be the last season for the banana boat. LeBron, I think, set the record this year with his 23rd ever NBA season. I was surprised to see that was the record. I was like, oh, I thought Kareem, but yeah, I guess he surpassed Kareem most seasons ever. And yeah, this could be the final one. I think, here's what I'll say. If the Lakers win the championship, I wanted to guarantee LeBron would retire, but then he'd get to 5. Then he'd be only 1 away from Jordan. So yeah, who knows? I hope LeBron doesn't retire. I hope he never retires. I hope he's playing NBA basketball until I'm old and gray, because he's that much fun to watch, and he would still be good at that point. But the banana boat, not retired yet, but maybe potentially this could be the final stroll down the lazy river in Cancun for the banana boat this year. So yeah, hats off. Hell of a career for Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards of all time. So yeah, hats off and happy travels. You guys got to recreate that banana boat picture once LeBron retires. That is a must. And what is also a must is I must be surprised by how poorly this transition is working out. I was going to ask my next question, and I must do it in the most awkward way possible. What'd Ja do now? What did Ja Morant do now? Yeah, why am I asking this question? He wasn't even playing in this game. He was on the bench, but he was getting into it with Klay Thompson. Dallas Mavericks versus the Memphis Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies pulled out a semi-tight win, a semi-close game. But Ja Morant sitting on the bench and was talking a lot of smack, getting into a post-game skirmish with Klay Thompson. And then I think this was post-game skirmish. Ja interrupted Cam Spencer's post-game interview to say, and this is on national TV or, whatever, local TV, and he interrupts Cam Spencer's interview to go tell him who the best shooter in the house was. It wasn't Bro from Golden State, obviously referring to Klay Thompson. After the game, obviously we don't know necessarily what exactly was said, but Ja and Klay get into a bit of an argument, and Ja was kind of pointing in Klay's face. This would kind of be the POV, because I'm pointing right into my camera. Just finger almost to the face. Didn't touch him, but it was close. And Klay did not like the pointing. Klay slaps his hand away. And again, just crazy that this happened, because Ja didn't even play in the game. So I don't know why he's beefing with guys from the bench. But yeah, upon some quick lip reading on TikTok, I believe at one point Ja was calling Klay Thompson a bum. I think he was saying, "You're a bum," which, again, that insult doesn't even make sense. He's not a bum. He's rich. He has 4 championships. He is widely considered a top 5 shooter in NBA history. He's not a bum. So that insult makes no sense. What Ja meant to say is, you're washed. You're washed. You're washed. If you had said that, it would have made sense, because yeah, Klay's probably past his prime. Apologies that one time I called you a Shanghai Shark, Klay, because I gained so much respect for you after this whole thing went down, which is why this week's First Year Interruption is with Klay Thompson. And man, was he spitting. He was spitting. He had quite the choice words post-game. I would love to know the choice words he had for Ja on the court post-game, but here's a different post-game presser with Klay, and he had quite the choice words about Ja Morant and this whole kerfuffle that occurred in the Grizzlies-Mavericks game. So here's First Year Interruption with Klay Thompson.
And then with Ja, he's a funny guy. He has a lot to say all the time, especially for a guy who rarely takes accountability. But you know what? That's for another day.
What did Ja have to say on this occasion?
Nothing of intelligent depth. It was really just his just running his mouth, and he's been running his mouth for a long time, and it's funny to run your mouth when you're on the bench. It's kind of the story of his career so far, just leaving us wanting more, We all want to see him out there and do his best, but he's just been letting a lot of other stuff get in the way of that. And we need that in the NBA. We need our best players to be out there, and when you're a star, it comes with a great responsibility, and I hate to see that go to waste.
Hates to see it go to waste. Man, did Klay Thompson eviscerate Ja Morant in maybe the most polite way possible. He said everything that needed to be said, but sort of politely. I don't know if it was really polite, because he was just holding up a mirror to Ja and saying, hey, this is why you're a bum. Why? Funny you're talking all that smack from the bench. It's funny to hear it from a guy like Ja, who rarely takes accountability, just going in on Ja Morant and kind of saying what a lot of us are thinking when he said, like, we'd like to see him on the court. Like, we all love watching Ja Morant play. Like, it's unfortunate that, he's had issues where he hasn't been able to play on the court. Right now it's an injury, but obviously there's been other pew, 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 pew situations where he got suspended and wasn't able to play. Just, maybe making not the best decisions, Ja. By the way, I was talking about Ja and his pink Nerf gun recently as a joke. I don't know if the video got scrubbed from the internet, if I got incepted, or if I just misremembered it. But I don't know if he ever had a pink gun, because I went and tried to find the pink gun video and I couldn't find it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe his PR team is that good and they got it deleted. Or, I'm probably just misremembering. I don't know why Ja would get a pink gun. But that is completely irrelevant. Again, Klay Thompson, funny he is talking that shit from the bench. And it brings me back to that quote that Ja Morant interrupted Cam Spencer's post-game interview with. Tell him who the best shooter in the house was. It wasn't bro from Golden State. Klay Thompson finished that game with 22 points, but he was 6 for 12. He was 6 for 12 from the three-point line. It wasn't bro from Golden State. He wasn't the best shooter in the house. 6 for 12. Quite literally, Klay Thompson was the best shooter in the house. Yes, Cam Spencer technically did shoot a higher percentage, but he was only 3 of 5. Klay made twice as many threes at, a 50%. A 50% three-point clip is amazing if you shoot like 10 threes. He shot 12 and made 6. I'm pretty sure he was the best. What is Ja talking about? Bro from Golden State indeed was the best shooter in the house that night, and I don't even know what to say. I love watching Ja Morant play. I don't love to rag on him, but when he's doing hilarious shit, like, I gotta talk about it on this show. And yeah, Klay Thompson eviscerated him, but it's honestly what Ja needed to hear, because we do want to watch you play more, Ja. And again, like, I don't know, he's talking smack from the bench, almost as funny as I should have made this something, but Draymond got into a skirmish with the fan. I think he got pissed at the fan because the fan was calling him Angel Reese, which I think is a great player comp for Angel. But yeah, shout out Klay Thompson and Ja, get back on the court. We want to see you throwing more imaginary grenades, and we want to see you talking smack in a game you're actually playing with. It is funny calling a guy a bum when you didn't even play. And again, not a bum, 4-time champion, rich, dating the hottest girl in the world, Megan Thee Stallion. Klay Thompson is quite literally the opposite of a bum. So yeah, that was funny. But yeah, congrats to the Grizzlies on a win. But yeah, Klay Thompson spitting, just absolutely spitting like he's Jamar Chase or Jalen Carter. But let's get to the end of the show. As always, we have our top 10 Goosebump moments of the week. At number 10, we have Jameis Winston looking like a wide receiver on this incredible, unbelievable, ridiculous trick play for the Giants.
Now we hear him. Another trick play as Olszewski throws. It's caught. Olszewski with the pass. Whoa! Into the end zone for a Giants touchdown, Jameis Winston.
Number 9, Drew Stevens hits the walk-off 44-yard field goal for Iowa on his senior day.
His kick is on the way, and Drew Stevens walks it off on his final day in Kinnick Stadium.
Number 8, Aiden Hutchinson gets home for the walk-off sack for Detroit.
Looking on fourth down. He's wrapped up, and down he goes. Aiden Hutchinson with the exclamation point.
Number 7, Colin Gillespie hits the game winner to cap off an 8-point comeback in the final minute for the Suns.
Gillespie's got it. Works it inside. Tough runner. Gets it up and in. Minnesota, no timeouts remaining. Into the hands of Randall. Randall, 2 seconds left with the shot. No good. No good. And the Suns with an improbable, unlikely, unbelievable comeback with Colin, the villain junior.
Number 6, QB Devin Dampier scampers 59 yards en route to Utah, escaping Kansas State in a shootout.
Straight ahead. There he goes. Dampier inside the 30 to the sideline. Inside the 5.
Number 5, Marley Washenitz banks in an impossible shot to win it for the ASU women.
To shoot it. She lost it. Washenitz the last second heave and banks it home.
Number 4, Amir Ali banks in the game winner for Mississippi State.
Ali will take it. Bank it in!
Wow.
Number 3, Arrowhead's Ryan Hyman returns the squib kick 76 yards for the state championship winning score.
The return man Hyman, he's got the great speed. Hyman's the clear. He's going to go all the way for a kickoff return touchdown, and Arrowhead is back in front. Can you believe it?
Number 2, D2 playoffs, Benedict with an improbable lateral across the field to win it in stunning fashion with no time left.
All the way to the other side of the field. There's room down the sideline. Ball's chasing him down. Brandon Perry trying to get to it. Oh my goodness. Benedict has scored. Benedict has scored. Holy cow. Bananas. Insanity. I have never seen anything like that.
Number 1, Nolan Missinali drains the half-court buzzer beater. Is this back-to-back weeks with a half-court game-winning buzzer beater? I think it might be. I did pronounce that guy's name wrong. I didn't have much time to I had no time to say it because the clip starts very soon. As you can see, it's grainy footage. It's the only one I had. Nolan Minnesale hit that unbelievable half-court buzzer beater. That might have deserved to be at number 2, honestly, because Benedict. That game was also filmed on a potato, so I think that's why I moved it down, which makes no sense. But the lateral across the field, retroactively, that's number 1. Benedict, like the wide receiver threw that ball 50 yards from one sideline to the other, and yeah, they return it to win a playoff game in Division II college football. And how about some high school football? High school football made it in my top 10 this week, and it happened to be my alma mater, Arrowhead. Shout out Arrowhead. They win the state championship. They won it on the final play. There was actually, they made a stop, with 3 seconds left to end the game. But, with a minute remaining, they do the kickoff. I thought all hope was lost. I'm like, these kids, they're probably not going to go, 70 yards and make a drive and win the game. Didn't matter. They didn't need a drive. Squib kick, catches the ground ball, and goes 76 yards for the game winner in the state championship. Just unbelievable stuff. Yeah, shout out Arrowhead. Really making me regret not playing more football. I wish I played 2 years of football. I wish I'd played all 4. Yeah, that looked pretty fun. So yeah, shout out Arrowhead, winners of the state championship game. But let's get back to professional football and finish out the show with my Thanksgiving Day picks. I'll do them slightly rapid fire. Who knows how much longer you guys want to listen to me? But I'll start in order. Packers at Lions. My Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. Lions are 2.5-point favorites. Lions minus 2.5. My pick, as I knock on some wood, is Packers plus 2.5. I could pick Packers money line, but let's make sure it's a close game first. So Packers cover. I do like my team to stay in this one. Am I terrified of Jahmyr Gibbs? Yes, but the rest of the offense we can contain, but they have Jameson, Amon-Ra. It's a very good offense. This would be a wonderful time for the Packers offense to wake up. But yeah, our defense dominated the Lions week 1. I expect the Lions offense to be much better in this game. But yeah, my other bet in this game, not only Packers plus 2.5, I'm calling my shot. Matthew Golden, anytime touchdown. If he plays. If he gets ruled out and you're listening to this after he got ruled out, that is going to, be very unfortunate. But no, Matthew Golden, anytime touchdown. I love it. If he plays, of course. If he doesn't play, he probably won't score a touchdown. But yeah, Pack plus 2.5. Matthew Golden for the touchdown. Don't parlay him. You don't need to. But let me get to the next game. Chiefs minus 3.5. They are at Dallas, at the Cowboys. I don't know what to do with this game. I don't know what to do. This is a loser leaves town game. I believe the Chiefs are 6-5. Cowboys are 5-1. Both teams need to essentially win out to have a good chance at making the playoffs. I don't believe they're in control of their own destiny. So yeah, loser leaves town game. If you lose this game, it is going to take a miracle for you to make the playoffs. So I guess I do kind of like the Chiefs. It's Pat Mahomes. You don't bet against Pat Mahomes, but I don't like the 3.5. I think Cowboys could keep it close. They can score with any of them. So I like the over. You know what? I like the over. Cowboys defense has played well, but it's Pat Mahomes. I don't think the Chiefs will be able to stop the Cowboys offense that well. But I do think they'll stay in it. So that's why I like the over. So give me over 52.5 in Chiefs Cowboys. And the final game to end the show here, Bengals at Ravens. Ravens minus 7.0. Ravens 7.5-point favorites, but my pick is going to be the Bengals plus 7. Let's not get crazy here. They're probably not going to win. But yeah, I like the Bengals to cover. This will be Joe Burrow's first game back. Will he be rusty? Yes, but I think if he can knock the rust off in the first quarter, they got a fighting chance. I think they can put up some points here against this Ravens defense. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Bengals, they're 3-8 right now, which sounds like you're out of it. But the Steelers and Ravens are 6-5. So you're only 3 games back of the teams that are tied for first place right now. I don't know. Can they do it? They do play the Ravens twice. So if they beat the Ravens twice, they can get the Ravens to 7 losses. Who knows? Bengals win out. Do they make the playoffs at 9-8? Probably not. It'll probably end up like last year. They'll miss by a tiebreaker. But yeah, I don't know. I like the Bengals. Even with the rust, I think Burrow keeps this a ball game in his first game back. And like I said, I think the Ravens probably win it, but who knows? Maybe Joe Cool and the Bengals pull off an upset that'll have idiots like me saying corny shit like, don't burrow them just yet.